We are back talking about Cuphead again with right here with RoyTeal. Introduce yourself, RoyTeal.
Hey, I'm Roy. I also have a YouTube channel. Mostly do gaming stuff, but I'm here talking about this show again. Doing a 2-for-1 deal. Doing season 2 and season 3. So yeah, let's get into it.
And sadly, possibly the last of Cuphead because, yep,
Yeah.
yeah. So before we begin, we'll start with what we thought so far, like what we thought before. If you didn't see the video before, the first season. So what I thought of the first season was that it was a decent try at least. The first season basically tried to do both physical and verbal humor, but I feel like there was a kind of lack of balance of both. The problem is that I felt like the physical humor was way better than the verbal humor, the way the characters talk or the story, and just the overall. Just I feel like they were still kind of finding their niche. They were finding like a balance between both that, and it did get better as it like near the end of the series, especially with that cliffhanger that I think most people know about. So yeah, what did you think about season one again?
Yeah, it was a decent introduction to this adaptation of the game into the show. It definitely got better like in the second half. Um, and yeah, I think the ending for season 1 was like pretty good, pretty strong, like very kind of didn't expect that sort of ending.
That's something I've noticed in a lot of Netflix shows right now. They always kind of end with a very cliffhanger ending or just simply end, because maybe they already knew that because, being streaming services, it feels like sometimes they already know they're going to get another season or even if it's announced before, but it is usually that. It's like a lot of series, a lot of series, developers. Wait, no, not developers. Show writers, showrunners. They kind of already get the info before they, head into like the next season because nowadays usually they leave, to be continues or there was this one show that actually said BRB. So yeah. Uh, that's just kind of a thing that maybe they kind of already knew. But Cuphead at least leaves with cliffhanger ending, and they just go with the credits. They don't really leave any like, oh, we'll be back or something like that. I'm just hoping that what we see is basically, from what we understand, is the ending of the series. So yeah,
Yeah,
let's get
I mean,
started with
I think why. Hold on, I just want to talk about the season 1 ending just a tiny bit more. I
uh,
think part of why it was so surprising is like for a show like Cuphead, you didn't really expect it to be sort of story driven, and that's kind of what that ending implied. And also, it's just also surprising because it was kind of I don't know if dark would be the right one, but it's just kind of like quite a turn for an ending for a children's show. It's just
I
like dang.
sometimes you wonder if it's I feel like you sometimes wonder if even for children because they do a bunch of things that I mean you do see adult stuff in it. It's just like it's very subtle, but at the same time you get it. There are a lot, and also a lot of the cartoony antics such as the physical humor is kind of violent, like very very violent, which to be fair I feel like a lot of like cartoons have opened nowadays, but this is like during they're basically copying a time period where something like this is just very extreme. So I mean, the dark ending I kind of don't mind. I mean, we've seen that nowadays, a lot of dark endings in a bunch of animated shows. I mean, have you seen Amphibia lately?
No, sadly.
Yeah, yeah, you should watch that because that even has dark shit, like dark stuff in it, even if it's very kid friendly for the most part.
Is that on Netflix or where's that
Mm,
at?
Disney Plus,
Oh, Disney Plus. All right,
sadly.
I'll give it a look. But
Eh,
yeah, I mean, it was just surprising the ending, and yeah, I mean, Cuphead definitely is like a show that like kids and adults or like older audience can enjoy. So
I think so, with especially season 2 and season 3. This is where, in my opinion, it's really, really good. So yeah,
yeah,
talking about season 2, I feel like now this is where the creators of the show were just like, okay, we basically now found what we can do. Let's balance it out. Let's do let's take as much risk as we want. And honestly, I feel like it succeeded in the end because it's so, like, a lot of episodes are so funny.
yeah,
There's just like a bunch of moments in the show where I swear I laughed so hard. I was just like, I did not expect this from such a like, think about it. I understand it's based on a video game, but to be fair, it's the concept around it is based on like a lot of old, kind of rubber band type cartoons, like cartoons that usually do like these violent humor, like this very physical violent humor that you don't see in shows nowadays. You do see them, but just not so much of it, and doing very wacky shenanigans that possibly would get a person killed. So
yeah,
yeah, there's that. So leading up to some favorite episodes of mine, one in particular is where they introduce the Medusa high sea adventure. This is where they introduce the Medusa character from the game, and I was kind of shocked the way they did it because, like I said, they're basically taking some of the bosses in the game and turning them into just characters in the show. So it's like I mean, you kind of knew that the characters would eventually go kind of like a high sea adventure, but this is where it comes to where they meet a pirate, which I forget, was pirate one of the bosses in the game, or is he like an original character?
yeah. He's one of the bosses.
Yeah, so this pirate basically like tells him that he's in love with he's in love with this giant Medusa and wants to give her such a beautiful gift. But then the moment he gets there, she immediately just turns him into stone. It's just like
Yeah,
it's not even 2 seconds. She's just like, the moment he just says something, he's just like
yeah, and then Cuphead and Mugman accidentally break his legs.
they break his leg. Like, basically what happened is like they're trying to like so what they do is like they follow the Medusa, try to go find them, and then just by complete accident they just broke his leg. They just broke his leg. Like, instead of just getting the piece and just putting it back in him, they basically replace it with a peg leg, or I forget, is that what it was, a peg leg?
He has like two peg legs by the end of the episode, basically.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm just like, what? I'm just like, I'm surprised how it just like how the magic works in this world, like the physical, because obviously if you see a person break their leg, basically blood's gonna come out as soon as he turns back to normal. So I'm just surprised they decided not to do that. Like, they put the peg legs on him, and then as soon as he turns back, he's just like, there's no blood, no like anything, no physical problem. That's just not my legs now.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
just
at least he was happy that he wasn't like mad that he lost his leg. He was just happy that he had like two peg legs, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's not upset about it. And I also like how the Medusa character basically, she just is what the character's doing is basically she's following her, just her instincts, her archetype character. Like, I'm just supposed to be a person who turns people to stone and then eat a bunch of people or food. I was like, that's what I do. Like, and but at the same time, I like that she's at least accepting the gift from the pirate, as well as understanding that they're caring and love for each other, like caring and love for her. And weirdly enough, even Mugman, of all people, decides to want to be. Like I said, was there any like any kind of type romance that was going on in the games, or like is it just this is just a thing for the show?
It's definitely a thing for the show. I mean, to my knowledge, like, yeah, there's definitely never any like romantic thing going on, obviously, but I mean, there was never really indication on what the personalities of the characters were, like the boss characters. So, I mean, it's all made up for the show.
I mean, yeah, no, obvious. I mean, yeah, true, but it's just like this. I mean, the game does have a story. It's like it's a basic story of just you know, two little cups, just going into a casino, then made a deal with the devil, lost a bet, and then decide to beg for their lives. And just, basically all they have to do is just basically take everyone else's soul just to get their soul fixed.
Yep.
The typical life of world, the typical world.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Typical
like I
cartoon
mean,
world
the
story.
the game did have a story. It's just like maybe they didn't really add too much to it. Like they didn't even add any cutscenes towards the middle of the game or afterwards in the game, except for like the new DLC, which includes Chalice and like a bunch of new bosses and stuff. You got did you play any of the new DLC? Like I said, I still haven't like gotten even far in Cuphead. I just stopped after it got too hard.
Yeah, I played DLC, and there's a little bit more. I mean, it's an additional story and like additional content and stuff. It was pretty good, pretty cool.
So this is something that like caught me off surprise when watching the show because I didn't get far into the game. But is it true that in the game, Chalice is actually a ghost? This is like off topic a little bit. With this is kind of going a little bit too farther, but find out later that we find out later in season 2 that Chalice is a ghost. Is this like a thing?
Yeah, I mean, in the original, she was just a ghost, but in the DLC, you can play as her as a character, kind of like in the show where she can just go from being a ghost to like an actual person. The process is a bit different, like in the game than the show. Obviously, there's like it's sort of like a power up or something you have to equip, and it's like basically if you haven't played the DLC, mild spoilers, I guess, but it's like uh, one person's soul has to be like transferred for another. So like basically, if you play as Cuphead and you put like the cookie charm, like a spirit cookie on Cuphead, his soul will swap with Chalice's, then Chalice's will become real and a playable character. So yeah, very different from the show where she can just transform like at free will and doesn't have to like swap souls with either of the characters.
Yeah. Oh, so that's just like a yeah, thank you. I just wanted to know because it did definitely caught me by surprise from like the very first episode of season 2. Like it just happened out of nowhere. I'm just like she basically saved their lives after being put in well, no, they escaped jail and then eventually she just decided to hang out with them again and then all of a sudden they just find out that she's a gosh damn ghost. I'm just
Yeah.
like I'm just like what was this a thing in the game? I had no idea. I'm just like, was this a thing? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Because I mean, the season one, I believe, yeah, season one, because season two came out after the DLC. But yeah, season one came out before the DLC. This was kind of like our first proper introduction to Chalice as like a character, at least in the form of like a physical character, not just a ghostly being. So, um, I mean, they might have known like the basics of the DLC, so they kind of got the concept of like having to be able to switch between forms like that from that, or maybe they just like you know took what they knew about the DLC, like that she was going to be a playable character and that she was a ghost in the first game, just kind of combined the two. But I mean, either way, they did a pretty good job of like keeping that consistency from the games that she's like somehow both a ghost and a person.
Yeah, yeah, like it's just actually well, the more I think about it, that actually would be an amazing type of thing to have in life. I mean, can you imagine yourself like basically just turning into a ghost from a human being at will? That actually would be very helpful in life, to be fair. like
Yeah,
Like
kind of like
basically,
Danny Phantom or something like that.
no, yeah, true. Danny Phantom did like, but he had like superpower. It was more like a superpower stuff that he combined with a spirit of a ghost. This is more that she basically can just do it at will. You know, she can turn into a solid person, or she can just turn into a ghost. And what's cool about like I'm fine if like we don't take over someone's body. I feel like it's better if it's just the power of using it for example, you know, just going through walls or just going to places you couldn't go to. I mean, that would be a great transportation tool. We don't even need to take the bus anymore. Like, you know, or the trains or the cars or like, you know, any transportation like planes and stuff. We could just go everywhere, anywhere at once. Like,
Yeah. We'd save so much money on transportation, just being able to fly everywhere and fly through walls.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, like I said, we gotta try. So like so yeah, the favorite so another one. It's like, do you want to go next on your favorite episode of the show?
Yeah, I'd probably agree that High Seas Adventure is definitely one of my favorites. I mean, just because I was like one of the first episodes where they really introduced some of the bosses from the game, like in the show, and we really saw a lot of that throughout the show. Like more of the game characters being introduced, like even some like super, I don't know, obscure, but it's like, he's not like one of the characters you think of immediately when you think of the game, but they actually took one side character that you could like talk to in the open world, like in the third aisle, I believe. His name is Ludwig, the record player, and he makes an appearance in the piano lesson episode as the teacher. And then, as a fan of the game, I thought that was pretty interesting. They made even such a minor character like that an actual character in the show.
That was, I
Um,
think, the episode Piano Lesson. You're
yeah,
talking about the episode Piano Lesson. Yeah, that I like that episode, but at the same time I kind of felt like it was like one of those episodes that came out one year and came out the other year. You know, it's not a bad episode. It's just kind of a simple story, a simple plot, you know, kind of stuff. The idea that Mugman is just jealous because his brother Cuphead is just better at piano, and then, you know, and then Cuphead does. And this is just getting into their characters. This is about the Cuphead characters that I feel, I'm glad that they're doing something different, but they're not, but they understand what they're doing, they understand the world, they understand what the characters are, and they just have to accept that these are their personalities. So the one thing to notice that definitely was different from the first season is that Cuphead and Mugman are not role models, like, at all. Like, they are the most worst piece of people in the gosh damn planet. Like,
I think
yeah,
so.
yeah. Basically, I mean, think about it. Think about all the things that they do. They fight each other. They basically screw over people and do bad things without it. Like, sometimes they have consequences, but at the same time, they just do terrible things. Like especially, well, mostly Cuphead, but even his brother does terrible things. That basically in that episode, he tried to kill him, basically, and he had
Yeah, you're not wrong.
no regret whatsoever. And then eventually Cuphead, like, but then by the end of the episode he ends up killing Ludwig, you know, because, you know, like I said, he took Cuphead's, basically the idea is like Ludwig tricked both of them, and in reality he just wanted the fame and fortune for himself, and he took, like I said, he just took the whole credit, and then a piano falls on him, and or
Yeah,
was it a safe? I forgot. Like,
it was a piano.
piano falls on him, dead, and then Cuphead's just like, "Wait, you were gonna do that to me? Uh, oh, you do care." I'm just like, it's like, oh my god, it's just like that is kind of that. These are these characters. They are basically just kind of like really terrible people, like the most, but at the same time they kind of have a good heart because they care about each other, they care about their grandpa, I think Grandpa Kettle, or is it Uncle Kettle?
Elder kettle.
Elder cat. So it's mostly his age. It's not really like a parental guidance name. Okay.
Not really. I guess I don't think it's like fully explained in the show, and definitely not the games. Like their relationship, like if they're adopted or actually related. But
I
I
mean,
mean, either way, he's their guardian.
it's clear that they're their guardian and stuff. You know, the he's kind. I mean, he's kind of even like a mean person too. But you can tell that most of the time he's at least nice and trying to lead the boys into like a better path, the cups into like a better path and stuff. He calls them their boys or their little cups, and stuff, trying to give them to a good path. He even annoys them too, like, but at the same time, that's just how they are as a family. It's it's that kind of thing. Like I said, um,
Yeah, but yeah. The piano lesson episode was all right. Just the concept had kind of been done before. It seemed like I thought it was mostly cool just because Lud would make an appearance. But one of my other favorite episodes, I'd say, would probably be Sweet Temptation, which was uh basically a Candyland sort of episode where Cuphead finds a candy world and he meets like one of the other bosses in the game,
the one
the
thing I like about
Candy
this
Queen lady.
episode is that Cuphead is aware. I love this. I love that Cuphead. This is possibly the first show where he's self-aware. He knows for a fact that he knows what's going to happen. He's just like, I know what you're going to do. I'm going to eat this candy and then you're going to eat me or you're going to try to kill me or it's poison or something like that. He's very self-aware that he's not. I like that even though he's kind of a dumb character, he just knows. He knows about these tricks. He's read this in books. He knows about like all the cliches. But either way, they still fall for it, or more that Mugman I think falls for it.
Yeah, they both kind of fall for it in the end, something like that.
Yeah, like, and then they turn into candy and stuff. They do get away. That's great and stuff. But I feel like now they just realize, we should never go to that log ever again. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was definitely an interesting episode. A little creepy at times, probably.
yeah.
It
Another,
was pretty good episode for that character. I like their voice too. Fairness one, and whatever it was. It's like kind of entertaining.
she was a joy just to hear her.
Yeah.
Another great episode I think is Another Brother, where basically where it's a cliche plot, but I think what makes it work is the character. The character. So in Another Brother, basically Cuphead and Mugman just now starts to have a conscience and just like, don't you think we should just stop doing these dangerous things, Cuphead? Can we try to do something safe instead? I'm just like, and then basically they just have a brother feud and then they break up. And then this brand new character who I forget his name. Do you remember his name?
Did you forget the character Bowl Boy?
Bowl Boy. That's what it is. It's Bowl Boy.
They took a joke from like season one and made him an actual character, pretty much.
Yes, but so about Bowl Boy. So I want to know: have you grown up with Cartoon Network? Growing up.
Yeah, I was a Cartoon Network kid.
Yeah. Did you ever see the show Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends?
Yeah, a
So
long time ago.
so guess what? The voice of Bowl Boy, it's the same voice actor who played Blue from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Oh, really? I
No,
didn't know that.
yeah, I was kind of shocked too. The way he sounds, though you can hear if you listen closely, you do hear a little bit of Blue in him. You hear just the way he's like sing this, and like when you hear like sometimes how in like the Foster show, like when Blue is sarcastic, that's the same kind of tone he's using. Just listen to both of them and you can tell it's the same guy. He's also the voice actor. I'm sorry if I don't know his name, but I'll probably put it in, somewhere in the video, when I put it up. Yeah. So, the voice actor, he also did so I don't know about this, but he surprisingly did like a video game character, like this very famous, I think a Dark Soul video game character. And like,
His name's Keith Ferguson. That's who he is.
oh, it's Keith Ferguson.
Yeah, I just looked it up for you.
Yeah.
He voiced, and you're talking about video games, Lord Saladin, I guess, from Destiny and Destiny 2, but also Reaper from Overwatch. People
Uh,
probably
uh,
he's voiced a couple video game characters actually, but yeah.
yeah, I thought yeah, like I said, I was just thinking off the top of my head if it was Dark Souls or something like that, but no. Okay, then Overwatch and like
And Bosch von Rosenberg from Final Fantasy 12, I
yeah,
believe, and also Marluxia from Kingdom Hearts.
this guy has a lot of like a lot of roles on his hand. Like I said,
Yeah,
I mostly remember him from Blue from Foster's, but now I'm gonna remember him from
yeah, me
Bowl
too.
Boy because Bowl Boy is like the scariest thing. I've never seen such a scary type of character. It's not like it's intentional. He's just trying to be nice, but he's just so creepy.
Yeah,
It's just like
that I think that was definitely the intent with Bowl Boy.
like the way he's just saying stuff. How are you, Mugman? Am I your brother? It's like
Very
you
happy yet psychotic voice.
like you think the voice would get so annoying, but I don't know, maybe like Keith is like really like Keith Ferguson, he's just really good at keeping that voice. It's just so like I think it's just he balanced it out with not being annoying but at the same time being utterly freaking scary. It even towards the end of the episode where like they're in the freaking doctor, like in the doctor's office, and then he just becomes a doctor trying to heal their wounds. I feel like he was just gonna do surgery on them. Yeah, like do crazy surgery on him. I was like, oh gosh,
Yeah, Bowl Boy was a pretty great character and a
yeah,
good foil for Cuphead, who's usually like the more like unbalanced one of the duo, but having a
yeah.
character that's even way more like dangerous and reckless and Cuphead was interesting.
Like I said, one of my favorite was just one of my favorite episodes. It's such a simple plot, but with Bowl Boy, it just makes it more great.
Yeah.
So
Another great character that had their own episode that I also kind of liked was the ice cream man.
that's one of my favorites too. Like that's a favorite of mine too. Uh, so yeah, the episode. So it's another type of basic story. It's like it's Mugman basically while the family's on like a road trip or something like that, or doing some kind of like doing these like outdoor stuff. They just basically go into town. He's basically trying to sit alone, reading his romantic novel, thinking about the Medusa again, and then this ice cream man comes in, and he's like being the most annoying piece of work in the world. Like he's just like, hey y'all, I wanted like just gonna give you some ice cream.
Yeah.
And
And just eventually gets on Mugman's nerves. He even
just like
spoils his own book that he's reading. It's like, man.
yeah, so because it's kind of fourth wally, like what he's just basically being in this moment, and then he keeps hearing like this. He keeps hearing the ice cream man, and then eventually he just snaps at the ice cream man and tells him to go away, and he eventually goes away. But then he starts to feel guilty, and
Yeah,
then
because he felt super mean to him.
yeah, and then and then so don't want to. I really don't want to give this away at all, but I think most people who saw the episode knows what happens. So as soon as he meets the ice cream man again, something happens. As soon as the ice cream man says something, and then Mugman does the most craziest shit in the world that it actually ended up becoming a meme.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah,
Like
like
people referencing that episode.
he does like I think people have seen the meme, but he does like the most freaky ass face in the world because he just lost. He just basically like lost it. But like I said, don't want to spoil what he does. But it was definitely a good payoff. it was it was a
Yeah.
great payoff. So the episode released the demons. I think this is one of the funniest episodes in the show. This had me laughing to the floor with tears. I literally fell to the floor with tears with this. So it's basically the devil wants Cuphead's soul, that if he doesn't get it soon, he's going to basically lose the deadline. Basically, he has this little minion, supposedly the right of the devil. If you do not get his soul very soon, you will basically cannot get his soul at all. And the contract for you getting his soul is over. So he needs to get the soul. And so he basically at first hires his top demons. And so the demons aren't even animated. The only thing that's animated is their eyes. So the devil goes so crazy. He gets so mad because he hates Cuphead so much that he literally explodes. I need to get rid of that cop. And then he basically blows up in extreme agony to the point that all the demons are killed.
Yep.
His first group of demons get killed, like his best demons get killed. And then so he gets his number 2 demon. He gets his second demons. And while this is happening, I think while this is happening, Cuphead and Mugman are basically going through a cornfield.
Yeah, they're at a fair or something. They're going through a corn maze
and stuff, because it's supposed to be a corn maze that supposedly freaked him out. Something freaks him out or something.
Yeah, because I think this is supposed to be like a Halloween episode, right?
I think that's what it was. Like, trying to freak it, because there were Halloween. Yeah, there were Halloween decorations, and supposedly there was a moment where he freaked out. But then, so continuing on. So then he gets his second best demons, and the second best demon still looks scary, but not as scary as the first one. But then he explodes again. He starts talking and explodes again. And all the demons are killed again. So you think, like, okay, he's learned his lesson. He can't possibly screw this up anymore. So then there's the third group of the worst demons, which, they look whatever. They don't even look that scary, but supposedly they can at least do the job. Or no, way. There's like 4. Oh, wait, there's like 4, right?
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember how many there were.
How many groups there were? I think it was his third, because then he.
Yeah, it was his third. It was his third best
demons.
demons.
So it was his third one. It wasn't his fourth one. Okay.
No. Thankfully for him, I guess.
Yeah. So he gets this, but they're not even that scary. So they try to go get Cuphead, but then instead of the demons just trying to get Cuphead, they basically fight each other out just to. They basically kill each other in the end without even getting Cuphead.
Yeah.
And so he's just like, okay, you have to do a job yourself. You're going to do your job yourself. So he tries to go and get Cuphead, but then something about a horse head. Like, Cuphead gets freaked out because of a horse head, or was it Mugman? I forget, it was Cuphead or Mugman.
I can't quite remember either.
I think it was
Cuphead, because I think he's usually like the brave one.
Yeah, and so they get freaked out over a horse head, a very decapitated horse head, and that's what freaks them out, and then they just run away. But like I said, I think what made it work was definitely the devil's reactions, just him trying so hard to get the cup. Like, all he needs to do is get Cuphead's soul, but he just can't. And, done. Yeah, pretty good episode. Like I said, had me laughing to the floor there.
Yeah, it was a pretty entertaining episode. And one thing that it did, like, showing characterization for the devil, because, I mean, for the most part, we kind of view him as like a goofy, sort of incompetent, like, villain for Cuphead and Mugman, but in that episode, it does kind of show that at the very least, he definitely is powerful and, like, deserving of, like, being the leader of hell. Just that, just from being, like, so enraged, he could just kill, like, his top minions and stuff.
Yeah, but it's just like, I think they just basically gave him character, because I think in the game all he was just the devil, and he's just so intimidating and so scary. I don't think there was anything funny about him in the games or something like that. But I love the character they gave him. They basically made him the devil, like he is the devil, and he'll always be the most intimidating thing in hell. But he's just, when he's dealing with these cups, he just can't handle himself. He's just so goofy, so out of it. It's like, yeah. And he gets so frustrated. Of course, he has his minion, his little minion friend who basically is by his side. I love that they make that. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, he's a lot more sassy in the show than he is in the game. but I like that. So
Yeah. So yeah, another favorite one of mine is this one kind of basically decides to do a little bit of Tom and Jerry. Like
I
this
think I know what
is
episode you're talking about.
yeah, it's called Rats All Folks, which
Yep.
basically is That's All Folks, but it's Rats All Folks. It's kind of like a Tom and Jerry type episode. It's where Cuphead and Mugman are in the house trying to surprise Elder Kettle with a cake for his, I think it was his birthday or something like that. So then there's a rat who basically lives there because they forgot to close the door. They forgot to close the front. That's how the rat got in. Because, and obviously that's not logical in real life, because rats come out of anywhere. They come out not because the door's open. They usually come out usually because of pipes or even a toilet, or just somehow get in just through like some kind of, some wood or something like that, or broken wood or something, and they somehow come into your house.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are usually. So it's just basically a war with this rat. They're just doing everything. It's just a Tom and Jerry type, like it's not a bad episode. It's just like it's a funny. It's just not extremely funny. It's just like it's more very entertaining. It's just seeing like them doing, at least not basically ripping him off, but doing their own thing with the rat. The mouse is basically a military mouse, so he's trying to take everyone down. Well, and of course, the one who takes him down is Elder Kettle.
Yeah. Because he has that prior military training and stuff.
Yeah, so the way.
Probably help.
Just a very entertaining episode. Nothing much about that. There's also.
It was, yet another game character that was introduced to the show again. It was probably like a pretty,
The mouse? The military mouse was a character? Was a boss character?
Yeah, he's in Third World. It's kind of an interesting boss fight because it's like you fight him, but then later you fight like a cat. So that's definitely got the Tom and Jerry sort of vibe. But yeah,
is the cat like gigantic or just normal size?
Gigantic.
Oh,
I mean, to be fair, Werner like in the game is bigger than he is in the show. Like in the show, he's like a size of an actual mouse, but like it's kind of reversed in the games. You're like Cuphead and Mugman are much smaller than him. But yeah. So they did a pretty good combination of like Tom and Jerry sort of, cat and mouse sort of thing, but with the, introducing the military sort of aspect to it, because Werner is supposedly like a German officer or something like that. So, it's probably as good an episode as you could do for that sort of character. Albeit a little typical or expected.
Yeah, it's like yeah, and then there's the episode Lost in the Woods, which Lost in the Woods I feel is another basic episode, but I think what makes it work is just the stupidity of Cuphead. Like it's so funny. And it's just one continuing joke, yet they do it at the right time. It's basically Cuphead holding a stack of dynamite, those cartoony stack of dynamites, and just blowing shit up.
Just sending stuff to the moon constantly.
Yeah, or no, it's firecrackers. I think it's firecrackers, not
fireworks.
And so he's constantly doing it. He's just constantly like,
yeah, basically as Mugman is saying something or like trying to reason with him, he just does it while he's not paying attention. He never learns.
Yeah, pretty much. And then eventually, they separate. Like it's another kind of Lost in the Woods episode. Even that's what it's called, just being lost in the woods. And it's kind of like at some point it's a little dull, but like then when you see their reactions towards it, for example, just Cuphead and Mugman learning how. I forget who was the survivalist, Mugman or Cuphead.
Mugman definitely, because Mugman builds a cabin in the woods.
Yeah. Oh, so that's it. That's it. Because I thought like it was Cuphead or something because he knows it, but no, he's completely lost Cuphead, and then he has a dream where he doesn't do his chores and stuff, and then he's like he can't even come back home. It took him years to come back home and stuff, and then like he has a nightmare, and then eventually he just wakes up to find Mugman, in a log cabin, and hot cocoa and stuff. And then and then Mugman basically is being selfish to leave him outside his own brother in the deep freezing cold. Like I said, these characters are mean, so like that's the point.
Yeah.
And literally the moment, the very very moment, like the very moment, like he lets Cuphead in, he just kicks Mugman out. And
Yep.
like has all his food and stuff, his rations, but then eventually he ends up destroying, the cabin with the with the fireworks and stuff.
Yep.
And eventually they realize that they're not that far away from home. They're actually closer. Yeah, the moment that the cabin gets destroyed and the last resort, they find out, oh, we're home, and we have and they don't even get the logs, I don't think.
Yeah, because that was the whole point of the episode, was to get some firewood.
Yeah. And so now we get into like the finale, and the finale of season 2. The finale of season 2, in my opinion, could have been the most shocking finale in the entire like it could have been the most shocking finale in the whole show. But the problem, and this is, I think, where it leads to like the whole Netflix thing, like the whole Netflix whole like
And stuff on cliffhanger and stuff.
huh.
Like, you're saying it kind of leads into the whole thing of like wanting to leave the show on like a cliffhanger, or like to keep the audience coming back or something like that.
To keep coming audience back. I feel like they lost it because what happened was like literally when they just the very moment they just put in season 2, season 3 was announced, and they even released a teaser trailer in the freaking season like, guess what? And you think, oh wait, no, I mean, we know there was going to be a season 3, but we're clearly not going to know what happened. Nope, the clip literally shows a random episode and Mugman is completely fine. I'm just like, gosh damn it, are you kidding me? And what's even worse, they don't even let audiences who didn't even watch the trailer suck it, like take that in just to wait. They literally released the 3rd season in the next month or 2.
Yeah.
It's not even a year. They just released season 2 and season 3 just 1 month or 2 months by each other. I don't know. I felt like if they had just waited, they already knew that there wasn't going to be another season, so that was possibly it or something like that. So they didn't want to, like, that's what they did.
Maybe they just had like a 1-year contract or something crazy. Because I mean, what's crazy about the show is that all 3 episodes literally premiered like in just 1 year. Like, wow.
Season 1, no, I think season 2 season 1 came out in 2021, right?
No, it came out in February 2022.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, it was like really early into the year.
So basically the entire show was done in a year.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I mean, if you compare that to like, cartoons back in the day, is like at least a year or so before you get like another season or like new episodes and stuff.
I didn't notice that. But like I said, it was kind of like I was kind of holding off on watching season 3 because I wanted to do this for next year, knowing that there isn't going to be another season of Cuphead. But yeah, so getting to like season 2, like I said, it could have left with such a great, and so it basically starts out with both Cuphead and Mugman just having some fun, and then they find the devil's pitchfork because the devil accidentally left his pitchfork, and they have fun with it. They have fun with the devil's pitchfork, and then the devil, finds them and is like, "Give me back my pitchfork." And just by complete accident, he literally tells them that he can't even get his soul anymore. So he's just like, "Wait, you can't get my soul anymore. I'm completely free. Uh, t- Technically, yes, but no, still, give me back my pitchfork. And then so he tries to give him back his pitchfork, but he keeps shooting him every time he tries to give it back. Yeah, this is what I like. Like I said, this is top notch, like top notch when it comes to the physical humor. Like every time, it's just like, give me back my pitchfork. Give me back my pitchfork. Like it's just ongoing and ongoing. And so,
Yeah.
and so then it basically ends with like, fine, if I can't have my pitchfork back, I'll take something that you care about. And Cuphead is just, I swear, I thought for 2 seconds he was, to be fair, he was going to say it, but at the same time, you can tell that he was basically bluffing. He's just like, oh, please, what can you possibly take that I would care about? And then he basically takes his brother away.
Yep. Takes
And
him
the
to hell.
episode literally ends with him depressively saying his name, Mugman. And,
Yeah.
and it just ends. It's not even like good. It's not even good. It just ends. I'm just like, how freaking depressing that would be for a child to see. I'm just like, you better give back your devil's pitchfork because then your brother will be taken away. It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, I thought that was such a depressing ending. It just ended at such a very, I think it was better than the first season's cliffhanger because that was really there.
Yeah, it's just it felt like they kind of did a cliffhanger ending when they really didn't need to. They could have just like done a regular episode, kind of wrap it up. That's pretty much the vibe I got from it. But
I mean, they basically had another season anyway, and they just announced it during the exact same time they released the season 2. So that's just what you have.
I mean, I didn't even see that or know about that, to be honest. That was just kind of my thoughts from like just seeing the ending. Like I kind of already figured that he'd come back. I think it'd been more depressing or like, sad that
I mean,
if
think
it
about
were
it.
like the last season, it'd be
I
like,
mean, think
man,
about it. In the
that's
first
how they end the show.
season, they were in jail, and they can just get out of jail eventually at some point. But they just sent his own brother to hell. So I feel like that's even worse. And the fact that he possibly won't ever see him again, I think that's a worse situation.
I mean, for Cuphead, sure, but in terms of the show, I don't know.
I get what you're saying. Honestly, if they had left that cliffhanger, it would have left so much of an impact just to have to wait next year just to see it. That would have been like really more powerful. Like I said, they released season 3 like a month or two later, so kind of the impact is gone. But it was still a pretty doozy ending, like there. But so then, and now I think we're jumping into season 3. The finale.
Do you have any other thoughts about season 2? I got a few.
Other than I feel like they found, they found what they were looking for. They finally balanced everything out compared to the first season. The first season, like I said, it wasn't bad. It just, didn't work out as much as I thought it was going to be. Season 2 was a lot of episodes. I remember just so many episodes being so funny, so hilarious, so entertaining that, like I said, I feel like they did better than they did before. That I can lead that to that point. Like I said, they found what they were looking. They basically found a balance, and they took a lot of risks, and they succeeded like extraordinarily well.
Yeah, they definitely found their footing more so in season 2. I'd say the episodes were a lot better overall. I was really surprised by like how it began. Like, cause I kind of going into this, I kind of thought maybe Chalice would break him out, especially since she's kind of, felt guilty for basically getting them locked up. But no, they actually find a different way to get out.
Oh
so
yeah,
that was interesting to watch.
Oh yeah, actually, a quick one. Was that giant that was in the jail cell? Was that a boss?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't like one of the main bosses. It was like a boss on one of the side-scrolling levels. But what was interesting about the show is like, I mean, it's not really implied in the game, but in the show, they made it like a female character, which is interesting because when you look at that character, you wouldn't think that they're a female. Is that
never
sort of
judge a book
trope.
by its cover. That's the best thing about animated shows.
Yeah.
yeah, now we're heading into season 3, and so the first episode of season 3, The Devil's Revenge. So this is honestly, it's once again, the comedy is really spot on. The one thing that drove me nuts was the factor that Mugman, think about it, he is the most scared of out of like the brothers. Like Mugman is like the scaredy cat, and he's always scared. He's literally in hell right now, and he's just smiling away. He's just like,
Yep.
it leads to just like a really funny scene. Like he's literally in hell, chained up, and he's just like, so how did you get here? Oh,
Hold on, try that again. I think your mic cut out a bit.
like so. Okay, basically, he's talking to this clearly really freaked out prisoner. He's just like, so how did you get here? Oh, like
Oh yeah, just screaming in pain. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
He's like, ah, screaming in pain. He's like, he's screaming in pain. And it's like, and he does that a bunch of times. I'm just like, well, that happened out of nowhere, but it still was funny.
Yeah, that was a funny running gag throughout that episode.
It's like
Every time I get him, he's just screaming.
it's just like he's in hell. Why on earth is he not freaked out or scared?
Yeah, he's just that confident that Cuphead's gonna save him, I guess.
Yeah, but eventually he tries. That's just a thing. That's just a thing. Like about for example, and then like it just like it shows it just shows their relationship. Like they don't hate each other. It's clearly that they love each other as brothers, but at the same time, they have their own personal way of thinking about them. For example, the devil himself is supposedly basically tries to trick Mugman into saying, your brother basically is dead. I'm sorry. I was like, yeah, but because it's been over 50 years. Time goes differently in hell. And so he tries to tell him, like, well, isn't he supposed to be here? No, I'm afraid he's up there. And Mugman is just like, yeah, right. It's like, wow. No remorse whatsoever. It's like,
No.
he was like, yeah, he's not in heaven. It's like Cuphead in heaven. Even though in the game they have halos, and stuff. So, like I said, maybe they're different types of characters in the game. Maybe they're super nice in the game, but in this series, they're like piece of shit people.
I mean, as nice as they can be with being forced to like take people's souls and stuff,
Yeah, I get it. But like I said, it's just like he's so confident that he's playing marbles. So
Yeah.
and so guess what? So then the devil makes a freaking like bet with his assistant, like saying, "Okay, if you could get Mugman to be freaked out at least in about an hour or so, then if I win, I get a vacation." It's like.
Yep.
And like if I win, you don't get any vacation, and you basically do his chores or something like that. I don't know. Like
I think it's laundry or something like that.
his laundry or something. So they make the deal. And the devil tries so hard. It doesn't even make any sense in logic. He basically makes the hell hotter. And Mugman doesn't even feel anything, but the devil is like sweating his balls.
Yeah. I guess it's bad when even the devil thinks it's too hot.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry if I'm laughing, but it's just like this show is really funny.
Yeah. I mean, despite my criticism about like the season 2 finale, I think this episode, like starting off season 3, was still entertaining. Even though, I kind of expected that Cuphead would save Mugman. I mean, regardless, it was still like very entertaining to watch, and just, very interesting that seeing Mugman just have this, calm, sort of optimistic demeanor the whole time.
It just shows like how maybe he's more than just a scaredy cat. He can be a very developed character.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we do see a little bit of like character development from him later on, Mugman.
Yeah, I really do love the conclusion to it. They just decide to just make the deal of just giving back the pitchfork and just getting out. The devil basically just kicks them out. He just doesn't want to deal with them anymore. Like I said, really, really, really good, like, episode of the show. Like I said, really good episode of the show. A great start to season 3. And then I think this is kind of a little bit off-putting because now we're getting into, it just happened. So obviously season 3 released in the right time because they have 2 Christmas episodes.
Yeah. One of which is like 30 minutes long.
Yeah. I completely forget how short these... I actually, looking at it right now, I completely forgot how short these episodes are. I thought they would be like all half an hour long, but no, some of them are long, some of them are very short and stuff. So
Yeah, generally like 12 to 15 minutes, I think.
13 to 15, yeah. And then of course one of them is like 30 minutes because it's like a Christmas episode, which makes sense. I think the tree episode was really funny, and I love the continuity in this because even when they have that really pathetic tree, it still follows up because it's taking place in the same time. Both Christmas episodes, they get the tree for, the house, and of course they keep screwing it up. Like, getting that tree. And like I said, it's really funny. And then we get to the episode where the devil basically becomes Santa Claus.
Yeah, and this is like the first episode where it's not really Cuphead and Mugman are like the stars of the show. Like the episode, it's just the devil himself.
I mean,
Which,
yeah,
I guess
think
kind of goes to prove that like the devil is just that entertainment character. He could just carry his own episode.
I think that's just the thing. That's the great thing about this series, that it basically like I said, it's taking risk. I'm just like the creators of the show just basically, okay, let's experiment. Let's see if the devil character can hold an entire episode. And yeah, really good. Like I said, really funny, really good. I also, though, of course, I think here's the thing. I understand like maybe people will think differently about this, but personally to me, this is possibly the dumbest Santa in the freaking planet adaptation of Santa Claus. Like, this is the dumbest.
You think so?
Yeah. Because first off, I'm surprised that when he meets him, he doesn't even know it's the devil. It's just like the horns, the body, his pitchfork. Like, how did he not figure out he's Santa Claus? Like,
true. Yeah, being the guy who's in charge of the naughty and nice list, you'd think you'd know who the devil was, of all people.
Yes, he's supposed to know. He knows everybody. And so he looks him up. I'm just like, oh, you're the devil? I was like, well, you can't be. So basically the devil is just like, he thinks just because it's just normal to him, like being on the nice list is just super easy, but in reality it's not. He's on the naughty list because of course he's on the naughty list. Like,
Yeah, he's like the most evil person in the world, technically.
So yeah, it's just like, it's ridiculous, like, that he doesn't realize that because he does naughty things even on Christmas time. So then Santa's just like, so if you can be good for at least the rest of the day, I will consider putting you on the nice list at least by the end of the day, so you can get your present. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll do it. So literally he screws up in 1 second. It wasn't even
Yep.
It wasn't even 1 second. He just messes up. He just blows up a person for. And then we also discover that the Santa Claus has like a weird ass cult. It's like,
yeah,
he has his cult there, and obvious. And then what's funny is that the Santa has his own like helper, like his own helper elf
version of Stickler.
Yeah, it's like his elf version of it. And then so the devil basically turns into Santa Claus, and it leads to the point that he needs to leave presents to good boys and girls and leave the bad kids coal and stuff. And so he tries to be Santa Claus, because it's supposedly in this religious cult. Basically, he transforms Santa and just pushes him into his body. So now he's basically Santa Claus and has to be. So it's basically like the Disney Santa Claus movies, only it's a little bit more freakier than those movies. I feel like those movies are are just more simple than this one, than this episode alone.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, the devil does the most difficult thing in the world. He's giving a present to his worst person he hates in the world. It's like,
yeah.
And he has
Cuphead.
to give, yeah, he has to give the train to Cuphead. And so at first he's just like, I can't do it. I can't do
it. Which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
He very easily wants to like take the gift.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, and also Cuphead. It's just like I'm surprised. I mean, I get it. He's disguised as Santa Claus, so like I said, and Cuphead, to be fair, is dumb of a character, so of course he wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah.
Like, so then, like I said, continuity. There's still the very pathetic looking tree, you know.
Yeah, from the previous episode.
So, like I said, it takes place in the same timeline, so that's what I really liked about it. And then so he decides to do a good thing, and the devil feels good about it. And so he goes back, and of course then the Santa Claus comes out of him and like tells him like, so I've become on the nice list? Yes, you have become on the nice list. So do I get my present? This, okay, to be fair, I get it. It's supposed to bring out a good message, and I get that. But the problem is that this is where the Santa is just so stupid. Like, devil, you realize that the meaning of Christmas is heart, of giving and joy. You have now gained a gift. You gain the gift of learning how to be nice. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That Santa is so stupid. Like, really. I know I'm wrong, on the wrong on this, but I'm actually siding with the devil in the terms of, like, you know, the way that Santa just did it. You know, the fictional character. Like, I'm just like, this guy. First off, he's the freaking devil. What did you think he was going to say?
Yeah, and I mean that is kind of BS. That like. I mean, he did this just to get his, you know, present, which is really all he wanted. And then Santa's just like, oh, no, you get the present of, like, get the joy of giving and stuff like that. It's like, really?
It was like, that's so stupid.
We do all that hard work for nothing.
And then, of course, they think that they're smart. I'm just like, because after they leave, the Santa and the elf is just like, eh. I was like, you know, I thought, you know, he would learn. I'm just like, how? Like, how is he gonna? He's the okay. So I'm just like, though. Of course, I do like in the end, like even when he does that super nice thing, his assistant basically secretly gives him a choo-choo train. That was nice, you know. It's still, even though it basically had kind of like a false ending in a false way, it tried to put a lesson. It does still keep the message. With, you know, with the factor that, you know, his assistant decides to give him the train that he wants. You know, it's still about the joy of giving, like I said.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it kind of gives like a different message from like what you kind of expect from like what Santa said. It's just kind of like, you know, you don't need, I guess, necessarily to get on the nice list or like, you know, become Santa Claus or whatever to just get gifts. Just, you know, how do I explain this? I guess just, you know, those who care about you will like get you gifts and stuff. So just be nice people or something like that. I don't know if it would make any sense, but I think it's something to that effect, kind of.
I think the devil was traumatized just by the end of the episode. The fact that he became Santa, had to be nice, had to give gifts to boys and girls. Like I said.
Yeah, but at least he got some decent character development, like towards the end of the episode, with that dilemma with Cuphead. So
Pretty
that was interesting to see.
pretty much. And now like any favorite episode from you for season 3?
Um, Honestly, probably quite a few. I don't know if you'd agree, but I kind of feel like this season was like even better than season two. Or maybe it's just because it's like the most recent one. I just kind of
I
remember
do
stuff
think it's a
more.
good season. I just don't think it's as I think season 2 is really good. I think this season 3 is really good too. It's just I guess you could argue I didn't find too much like as much memorable moments as I wanted it to be. Season 2 just had a lot of memorable moments, and then season 3 has memorable moments, but not as much as season 2. Um, but I do like it. I do like the seasons. Like I said, we get a few really good episodes. But like I said, like I said, the favorite ones of mine are definitely near the end of the show. Uh,
Yeah. Well, one of them I liked, and that was Cup Staged, where they're trying to audition for a play. That was pretty fun, and
yeah,
we saw like some interesting like continuity and character development from Cuphead. Because if you remember in season one, there was like a small running gag where Cuphead suffered from immense stage fright. Like he'd freeze up as soon as he was on stage or like everybody's looking at him. But in this episode, he reveals that he's found a method to like combat that, and that's interesting, you know, development from the character.
wait, I think that was Mugman, not Cuphead, because I remember
Oh, did I say Cuphead? I'm sorry, I meant Mugman.
it was Mugman, not Cuphead, because I remember like wait, but in that episode where he's dealing with the dice character, you know, he Cuphead's on stage and he's like, you know, saying, "I love candy, I love hot dogs, I love candy, and I love hot dogs, I love chocolate, I love hot dogs." I was like, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, sorry, I meant Mugman, not
yeah, I
Cuphead.
think it was Mugman. Yeah, great character development there. It's just like one thing that's just kind of funny to me is just like by the end of the as the resolution, the person who's doing the play just ends up playing all the parts anyway, even though it was kind of obvious that it was supposed to be played by a cup, the main hero, and the villain to played by the main villain.
Yeah, yeah, that was like another boss from the game that they. I mean, they kind of introduced her, I think, a little bit in season two, but this was like the first time she got like her own episode. Really got to see more of the character and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, that's that. Like I said, pretty damn. Like I said, it was funny, just not as memorable as I thought it was going to be. And then we get, and honestly, these are my personal favorite episodes, and that's where we lead to the episodes Joyride, Dance with Danger, and The Devil and Miss Chalice. Like I said, this is where I'm talking about like near the end, because you could argue these episodes are it's a three-parter. You can argue it's a three-part episode.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
Yeah, even though they have different names, they're three-part episodes. The episode Joyride is where it basically starts out with another, oh, look, you know, Chalice is taking, like, it was kind of obvious from the beginning. Chalice takes over Elder Kettle's body because for some odd reason, Elder Kettle just feels like going to the extreme and just buying all the stuff in the world and just, like, doing crazy stuff. And then eventually the Cups the Cups don't figure it out. Eventually she just reveals who she is, and then they just have fun with each other. You know, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Dance with Danger, it kind of you know, sidetracks a little bit because it's basically a whole episode dedicated to like the origin of Miss Chalice and like why she has a ghostly form and all that, which is interesting.
Yeah, we discover how she became. So this was actually told in a previous episode. It was kind of the delivery episode. It was special delivery of the episode where we discover. I mean, we kind of got the hint, but we didn't know the full thing. Where the devil is just like, oh, they're friend. Miss Chalice is friends with the Cups, and so she's just like he somehow knows something about her. So, and eventually we do find out that Miss Chalice of how she died, how she became where she came from, and we understand how she can turn from ghost to physical form.
Yeah.
What I think also I kind of found like the very scary transition of when they're putting out the fortune like I don't know what those are called. They're not fortune cookies. I was thinking I was going to say fortune cookies, but they basically take out these fortune templates or something, like these paper fortunes or something. Like they put a quarter in the machine and they read their fortunes and stuff. Something about good, bad, and then she reads her fortune and it's literally a picture of the devil. I'm just like, oh shit! Like, what is this? Like, what is this leading up to? And then you see the assistant come in. I'm just like, boss wants to see you. And then so we eventually try to find out. And then in Dance with Danger, we get her backstory. We discover where she came from, how she became who she became, and how she died. So in a way, it's
And
kind of
sort of came back.
yeah, huh?
Yeah, and then sort of came back, like where she could, switch between realms, basically,
Yeah,
like dead and alive.
she basically makes a deal with. Basically, it's just like in the game. Well, I don't know if it's something in the game or not, but it's just the thing. Is like the title game. She makes a deal with the devil, and she either has physical form or non-physical form. And I think, like I said, what's really, really cool about this is that, like I said, I do like the way of how she became who she became, and like, how she did it. In a way, she's also kind of like, she did it out of survival. She didn't do it because she wanted to be a mean person, because it's just because it shows the fact that she basically is robbing these people just by dancing or just being a sweetheart and stuff. That's her character. It's not because she does it on purpose. It's just because she lived in a rough life. She basically had a rough life, and we see that rough life and how she's been. So, and she discovered that she has a talent for dancing, and I think that was something really great for her character. And so also,
and this episode was also interesting because it was yet another episode where it focused on a character that wasn't Cuphead Mugman. And this is also kind of technically like the first episode of the series, because like most of it takes place like before. Well, maybe not the first episode of the series. Sorry, it should be like technically the first episode that like Cuphead and Mugman aren't in it, like predating the Devil Santa Claus episode, because like she doesn't. You don't really see Cuphead and Mugman until like it flashbacks to like the first episode where they meet her.
Yeah, and then we don't see them until like the very last episode, The Devil and Miss Chalice, where so this is honestly, I'm just like, I had no idea where this was going to go. Like, I am so shocked that this show decided to do something completely different. I thought it was going to go to the whole cliche, the devil's telling them to betray the cups, and telling him to sign in their souls and stuff, and that's what she wants to do. Well, then of course she tries to do her trick of distracting him, only for one of the the how do I say, the lawmaker is just like, excuse me, she's clearly distracting you. And this show's for kids, even though they showed basically a decaying character.
Yeah.
Like, you think, oh, well, it's like very cartoon logic they're showing her. No, we see every detail. We see her skin basically decaying, and we see the bones, and her face is turning into a skull, and it's so like graphic in a sense. There's no blood because, well, she's a cup, so that's the idea. But we see everything, and she gets traumatized towards it.
I mean, yeah, who wouldn't be seeing themselves melt away like that?
Yeah, so like I said, and then but then of course then we get, I thought literally when the moment she's just like trying to tell them about like who how where she came from, and like I thought she was going to tell them the truth, but then she brings out the contract. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's going to be this whole I thought they were going to do a whole cliche. I'm just like, okay, they're gonna sign the contract, and then eventually the devil comes out saying that your friend betrayed you, and then it's like they're gonna be like, how could you do this to us, Chalice? You know, like, and then there's gonna be a whole third act breakup and stuff, and eventually she has to go save them. You think that what's gonna happen, but no, it completely went AWOL. She immediately is just like, she rather die than betray her friends, which is really, like, that was really powerful right there. Like,
yeah, at kind of redeemed her for, like, I mean, she had already kind of redeemed herself from, like, what happened at the end of season 1, but even if you still felt like she hadn't, I mean, this action from her definitely does.
I swear, the moment she opens up that contract, but then immediately she's just like, no, I can't do this. And she rips it up really in front of it, literally when the devil is watching her. And then she basically quickly tells her everything. She does it in, like, fast exposition, but at the same time, it's done so well, and they understand the situation. And then, of course, the devil basically is just going to take her. But, of course, the Cups try to get her back, save her life. But then, they can't do it. And then so Mist is like, at least I'll die as the greatest dancer in the world. And I never thought the devil would be so shallow. Like, he can't accept the fact, like, wait, greatest dancer in the world? No, I'm the greatest dancer in the world. I'm just like, he has so much of an ego that he can't even accept killing her off when she's right there. And so they decide to have a dance contest with everyone from every episode of the show watching. Like, that's literally what's happening. They're basically the devil himself and also Miss Chalice are having a dance competition. And then of course it's kind of surprising, but at the same time not, because I kind of saw that coming, because they're gonna clearly do something about this. And then, like, so Miss Chalice and Devil, have a dance off, which, to be fair, is animated pretty well. The dance, I feel like this is where the animation budget just really got crazy with this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then so we get to, like, literally, the devil and Miss Chalice going off against each other. And then because of Cuphead's, giving Miss Chalice a gift of marbles, which I forget, was that in the episode Joyride, or was that already in the same episode?
With the marbles?
Huh?
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
The marbles. When did Cuphead give her the marbles?
I'm not sure. I think, it was either Joyride or Special Delivery, one of those episodes.
Yeah,
but I know Mugman had them at the start of the season, I believe.
Yeah, so of course the marbles somehow end up messing her up, and she ends up losing, to the devil, and so of course he eventually has to take his soul, and and then so of course Cuphead, being the main character, is just like, okay, devil, I challenge you, and like basically he's sacrificing himself as well as his brother without his consent. It's like, he's just like, I beg your pardon. It's like, will they get their souls and not only Miss Chalice's souls? So it's like basically the devil's gonna get a 3-for-1 deal.
Yeah. So at that point, everything is on the line.
So guess what? What do? They play the most childish game in the freaking world. Like, rock, paper, scissors. I'm just like, it's a 50. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's like a 50% chance that he'll win. I bet he's gonna. I'm just like, yeah, he's gonna lose. He's gonna lose. I was just like waiting because I thought there was gonna be another season, because there wasn't any announcement if there was gonna be a season or not. Like, I know for a fact he's gonna lose. I'm just like, so just because they're leading up to the next, because it's just like, it's ridiculous that they're gonna do this. But no, he ends up winning literally the first time.
Yep.
But then, of course, the devil's just like, 2 out of 3. I'm just like, okay. And then it's just like, what? Miss Chalice
and Mugman
is just
continuously winning.
And then he keeps winning, and then Miss Chalice and Mugman. I'm just like, oh my gosh, don't risk this. It's like, instead of,
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't even stop him. Like,
Yeah, Devil just keeps wanting to keep going, and
then the audience are just
Mugman and Challenge like, no, stop.
Like
We've already won.
like the audience just keeps gasping every time he goes 4 out of 11, 5 out of 10. Like, you know, like he keeps doing it, and Cuphead keeps winning. He keeps winning because and basically the answer is like, well, I just don't think about it. That's how I won. I just didn't think about it. Like,
Yeah.
and so, like I said, it's just like, nope, game over. You lost so many times. It's over. You're done. Like, you know, and just go home. I was like, let's just please just go home. It's like, and so the devil just can't accept that he lost to such a childish game, and he literally ends in depression. Basically, it's depressing. So he just leaves with depression. Like I said, such a good way to go. And then of course we get the nice
Out for the series.
basically the ending. We get the ending of the series, and actually this is something that okay, before I get to like the ending, this is mentioned in one episode of season 3 where surprisingly the show kind of fourth walls the game. It's just weird because this is a show based on the game, but they kind of fourth walling the game. I'm just like, because so in the episode, there was this one episode where he thinks that Baby Bottles is coming back, and then like they're hiding in the closet. So there's like a bit of fourth wall here. So Cuphead and Mugman are arguing like, oh my gosh, who could be at the door? It could be someone that we've, faced off against. Maybe Medusa. Maybe people who basically want to chop off our heads. Or maybe it's people with bullet fingers. I was like, wait. We've never met someone with bullet fingers. Oh, really? I could have sworn that's something that we would usually do. Because now they're just talking about that they don't have their powers. Because in the game, they have bullet fingers. That's basically what they're doing. And
it's the mechanic of the game.
Yeah, so like it's a main like thing that they do in the game. So now they're mentioning it. I'm just like, oh, are they basically fourth walling the game, or are they just leading up to eventually when they get their powers? And so the episode ends with quite literally, the devil's casino. I'm just like, so wait. This show is a prequel to the game?
Yeah, that's kind of surprising.
I'm just like, so it's it's kind of like a different type of continuity. It's just like, it's a prequel to the game, but in a different kind of continuity because Miss Chalice was not originally in the beginning at all. And the way
that's
they
like their only like kind of weird plot hole for like that kind of theory that the show is a prequel to the games, because like in the game it's implied that there was a first time meeting, but that could be kind of retconned,
so I think, like I said, what's really awesome is that I feel like I remember like as soon as I saw that, I'm just like, okay, that's actually a really good way to end the show. It's not really a cliffhanger. It's more of the factor that they're leading into the game. I'm actually shocked that like the ending of that scene didn't end with a text saying, "You want to know the rest of the story? Play the Cuphead video game." I'm surprised they didn't do that, because that actually would have been pretty nice to do.
Yeah. Well, maybe it would have been a little on the nose. And, because I'm not 100% sure if it truly is, like, if this truly is the last one. That seems to be what's been implied by like Netflix or something like that.
It's not only been applied by Netflix, but it was applied by the development team of the show. No, the showrunners and the people who've been developing the show. They kind of basically said that they tweeted about it, saying like, we had more ideas to bring in more bosses from the game and give them character development, but Netflix basically cut us short. We only had this one contract, and there hasn't been any news of us renewing the contract. So yeah, I guess we're done, folks. I'm just like, thank you for enjoying the show, but we want to do more, but it seems like we can't. And ever since that tweet happened, there has been this whole during November, there was this whole hashtag, please renew the Cuphead show. Please renew the Cuphead show. I'm just like, and I mean, here's the thing: the show lasted for at least 3 seasons, and I'm fine if they decide to do one more season, but I definitely wouldn't want them to do like more than like 4 or 5, maybe 5, because I feel like it should end in the perfect way, and I feel like it ended perfectly. I don't feel like there should be more. I mean, I would love to see the bosses being represented more in the show, but I don't know. I felt it was good.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to like see characters like Chef Salt Baker from the DLC, like in the animated show. But again, if this is like supposedly supposed to be a prequel to the game, like it kind of makes sense that he doesn't show up. But I mean, it kind of sucks. Like if we don't get a season 4, then we won't see like maybe an animated retelling of the game in like the show, and maybe see them like get their bullet finger powers.
I would have loved to see how they would use their bullet finger powers. Really, I would love to see that actually. Like, hopefully one day maybe we will. Who knows? Maybe there's plans for like a Cuphead shorts or movies or a movie, or maybe I don't know. That could be on the table. I mean, surprisingly, a lot of shows nowadays after the second or third season, they somehow get a gosh damn movie.
Yeah. Or it's
That's
still possible that Netflix could revive the show, seeing like all the fan feedback and stuff. But I mean, that might be a little too optimistic.
like I said, I really did like it. Like I said, it started really getting good at season 2 and season 3. Like I said, I feel like that's where it just becomes really good. Overall, I thought the series was really good. I feel like I said, I feel like this first season now, watching season 2 and season 3 is kind of like a hard pill to swallow. You kind of have to get through some good episodes while also getting some just not impressive episodes, kind of dull episodes. And then you get into like season 2 and season 3 where it's just really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't recommend like people would be like, "Oh, well, then I can just start at season 2." No, you really should start at season 1 because the first episode of season 2 is like confusing if you don't see season 1. So, I still say watch the whole show, start from season 1, but like just just be aware that you're not going to see anything amazing yet until like season 2. That's
Yeah,
how
I mean, season 1 is not terrible. It's just it takes a while to like get into it and for it to get better. And obviously, it gets better in season 2 and 3.
So yeah, yeah. So I think that's it. So overall, great series. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll possibly be talking about other shows if we get the chance. Uh, well,
Yeah, video game or maybe non-video game related. I mean, whatever.
yeah, any non-video game related show, or even just a movie or a TV show that's coming out. Hey, maybe I don't know if you're into it. Want to talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie eventually?
Uh, yeah, I guess so.
That
I'd have to see it in theaters though.
But you think you're not gonna be able to see it?
I mean, to be honest, I didn't really have like plans of going out and see it in theaters. But I mean, I
It
could.
probably is worth going to see it in theaters. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the previews do look good so far. I mean, despite Chris Pratt being Mario, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, don't want to get too into that. So yeah, that's Cuphead. All right, that is the Cuphead season 2, season 3. Pretty damn good. Pretty good series overall. So yeah.
Yeah, the show ended about as good as it could. Kind of coming full circle with the game. Which kind of leads me to wonder if if the showrunners kind of knew that maybe season 3 would be the last one. I mean, I guess from those tweets they kind of knew, so that's why they sort of tied it up in the end the way they did. But at the same time, it does kind of leave room for like maybe a season 4 in the future or like a movie or something. But yeah, I mean, good show overall. good adaptation of the games. They're definitely fans of the games, just from like the references and stuff. So
Maybe I'll play the DLC. Who knows? So yeah.
yeah.
Yep. D Star signing out and leave with the voice of Ball Boy haunting your soul. All right.